Ooh, welcome everybody. I don't know if I said that on the air. If I did, fuck it. It's a lot of worse things happening. It is not Thursday night. It's Wednesday night. But this still is a tap on the Politicos. It is the NGSC Sports Weekly Political Show. I am your host, Rob Garcia. We're gonna have a special guest today because we're gonna talk about special stuff. Remember the website. It is ngscsports.com where you catch all of your current content. Log on to the website right now. Of course, Semi Sport Face. Semi, I'm trying to get a point across to you. Our readers average approximately 6 minutes per read. Why are you giving me an 11-minute article? Cindy Lauper is right. Money changes everything in college football. That part he got very, very right. And before the big game, Brad Walker covering the University of South Florida gives us the USF Bulls. Big game coming versus the Miami Hurricanes. All that and more on NGSCSports.com where we never stop. We got 23 minutes or so to get this done. Try to remember what I used to tell you before the show. I used to say it all the time. I don't say it that much anymore, which means I don't say it enough. Donald Trump is a scumbag. He's a dickhead. He's a piece of shit. He's a fucking moron. One of the worst things that's ever happened. I didn't say shit about Republicans, okay? You didn't hear me say Republicans or conservatives. I said Donald Trump. The other thing I want to say real quick is people, Biden's gone, okay? He's just finishing his presidency. He ain't fucking bothering you. Why are you still talking about him? I don't understand. Isn't this bash Vice President Harris time? So, speaking of Vice President Harris, hey, Lori, we haven't been on. Hi, Lori. By the way, the co-host, Lori, Florida. Hi, Lori.
Hey, Ralph. How are you?
Coach, Connecticut. Hi, Coach. I did that on the baseball show. At the end of the show, they tell me you forgot to introduce us. Why the hell you wait to the end of the show to tell you that shit? Lori, there was a debate, but wait, the first debate. Biden, Trump, Biden. We waited in anticipation. We also worried in anticipation, and our worries came true. Except they were, they came a whole lot worse, truer, a whole lot worse than we thought. As Biden basically his way through the debate. Trumpers will say, Lori, that Trump won. I don't know how you won. You win a fight and you don't throw a punch, and the other guy just sits down on the stool. Technically, Coach, they call that a technical knockout, but did you really win the damn fight? You didn't even hit the guy. Then there was part two, and I know that Lori enjoyed that debate. And not a lot to say about that debate, Lori, except once again, what I wanted before that debate, guys, wasn't for me about Harris. I was thinking about Trump. Because my concern is all of our concerns should be Trump. My concern was what happened. Remember what he did the last time? He held himself for the most part against Biden. Of course, Biden fucking it all up held. I wanted to see if this time he would do that and then sprinkle in some policy. Don't get it twisted. I don't mean details. Make it sound good, like somebody wrote him a good script. But no, you can't do it. They begged them to stay away from the attacks and all this, Lori. But Lori, what was so nice and what has been so nice is the theme from Kamala Harris, one of the themes. She hasn't taken the bait one time. I've been waiting for her, Lori, to take the bait. And even in the debate, she did not take the bait. So I know you enjoyed that debate, huh, Lori? Ooh, that's a lot of baiting.
Oh, I certainly did. I really, really did. What a sour face he had on the whole night. He couldn't even look at her. The things he said were completely ridiculous. And unfortunately, we're having the ramifications of it, especially in places like Springfield, Ohio. When comments about eating dogs, cats, pets. He spewed his lies. They fact-checked him. They didn't fact-check her, interestingly. That's the complaint that I'm hearing right now from Republicans. And it's interesting because I was with somebody who is very much in favor of Trump. And I had to listen to everything that she thinks that went wrong with that debate. I didn't hear it. I mean, I don't think Kamala changed her positions on everything. Um, I think she was pretty clear, pretty joyful, as they would say.
Okay.
And
Okay.
I loved it.
Okay.
I loved it.
And I did too. Now, Coach, as I'm sharing the show across the way I should, I'm going to you with this, Coach. So the big rub on Vice President Harris was not giving detail of policy. Okay, I get that, but I correct me if I'm wrong. At this point in an election, especially the way she was, yeah, Biden was kicked to the curb, and she was basically anointed his replacement by Biden. By the way, for all the fucking idiots they keep saying it was everybody else, it was by Biden. He's the one who called the people. Remember, you're not going to have details. There's no administration, but it's a dispatch going to have details on the plan. You're only talking about the plans. She does have to go a little bit more, and she's been doing it recently, by the way, going a little bit more into detail. The one thing I did love, Coach, while you touch on that, is also this, Coach, how about them damn looks? How about them damn reactions from Kamala Harris? I mean, she looked at the guy sometimes. She did the one where she was like serious? And then laughing like, and of course, obviously, the big guy just gargling lies all over the place.
I think that the idea of policy and details that's not the format for it. The debate isn't the place where you can spend that much time trying to outline, the details of your policy. I think that you have to take the opportunity to rebut what's being said and input what your intentions are. Just enough. You're limited in time. If she had an entire 5 minute spiel where she could just go on about something, I'm sure she could have included more details. But a lot of the times, the details have to still be worked out, regardless of what the policy is. The details, it takes. Most of these things have to be an act of Congress. When you talk about policy and trying to do something and get something done, so you don't really know what the end result is going to be and what the details are really going to be based on, the input by the congressmen and what they're going to come up with for a plan to try to pass a bill. But I think what she did do was talk about the issues that she wants to address during her administration and the things that are current right now for the American people and the concerns they have, whether it's, dealing with the inflation or the cost of goods and things like that. Obviously the healthcare, these types of things. The thing that was interesting with her responses in watching her antics and stuff was you found out kind of later, at least I did, that was her game plan. Her game plan was to bait Donald Trump, not to debate him.
She took the offensive.
Yeah, and in doing so, she kept him off target. She kept him off subject. She kept him going in a tangent, certainly attacking his ego, talking about, that the world is laughing at him. Even his former people are saying he shouldn't be president. And, you were fired by 81 million people in America. I thought that was tremendous. That was so tremendous when she said that, so when she'd set him up, and then she would stand there and just watch him flop it and just watch him go.
Oh, he hated it. I mean, he hated the
Crowd size.
Crowd size.
Huh?
Crowd size.
No, listen. The person who came up with the strategy, because I heard we heard all kinds of possibilities of how she would come out, which even come at him. Damn, did she go at him? It's like whoever put that plan into place really put some thought in it, because I didn't think about that. Because you don't think about that normally, because when you put Donald Trump in a room with someone else, or even with a bunch of people, he's the dominant figure in that room. He's going to make sure he is the dominant figure, the most heard figure. And of course, he's not going to shut the fuck up. So it's real easy to assume But to see the game plan and to see her, again, you're a coach. They gave her the game plan, coach, but to see her execute it.
Yeah.
And when she hit him with that first jab, he kind of like, what the fuck? And as soon as he thought of, bam, she came back with that left cross, and he was just like befuddled, and he couldn't. You could see it was just boiling him and boiling him. And what came of it, right? What came of it? Listen, he won the first debate. He didn't have to do anything to win the debate against Biden. And whatever he did do, we're not going to take away from him here. No, why would we do that? He won. He got his ass whooped in the second one. She wiped the fucking floor with him. It was not even. And my thing was this. Okay, coach. That this is what I do as a person. Hey, coach, I know football. I've been watching football for a long time. I've been studying football for a long time. I can tell you some shit about some football, coach, but I'm not going to try to go coach on you, coach, because the only one who's going to look stupid is me. So why? And so what I'm getting at is it was never a debate. You like that? It was never a debate of who had the higher IQ, who was smarter than who here. It was never about that, or who was better looking either. But to see the game plan and her just over and over, it's the one thing she focused on the most, was just getting at him. It was entertaining.
For me, the term savvy comes in when I think about how well she played him. She's first of all, she's far more intelligent, okay, than he could possibly hope to be. I think that comes across in most of the way that
he couldn't buy her brain. He couldn't buy it.
No. And she's savvy enough to know when to let something go. A lot of times we're waiting for her rebuttal during that debate after Trump ran his fucking mouth about something asinine, and I'm waiting to see what she has to say in retort, and she chose not to. I think that really worked for her in the end, because what it did is allowed him to keep on that topic. So we're talking about eating the cats in Springfield, in immigration. He was hammering his points. These weren't even topics being discussed by the moderators. These weren't questions that were posed to him. These were absolute tangents. And what the Democrats know about Donald Trump is that he'll say something stupid, and then he'll double down on it after the fact. He will never try to correct himself or to back away from some asinine thing that he said. He'll just re-insist on it. And the reason why he does that is that he's not trying to convince you or I that what he has to say is rational, reasonable, truthful, anything like that. No. He's trying to hold on to his followers so they will repeat what he has to say as his talking.
Very good. Very good. Very good. Think about this. One of the things, and by the way, before I continue, might as well bring the man to the stage before we hit his topic, so he can join us now early as we talk about this. May I introduce, and I'm only going to introduce it this way and then let him do the rest. First and foremost, a dear friend of mine, family at NGSC Sports. More importantly, at a time of year like this, may I mention one of our heroes who gave his service to America. And then our special guest host this evening, Mr. Robert Conley, or as I call him, good evening, Mr. Conley, sir.
Good evening, buddy, brother. Good evening. How's everything going?
Goosebumps. You're in the house. I got goosebumps. So good to be with you, Mr. Conley.
You just gave me chills.
Mr. Conley, sir, may I introduce to you the lady of the house, Lori. Robert, Lori.
Very nice
Lori.
to meet you, Robert.
You too.
Hey.
She's so beautiful. Listen, Mr. Conley, sir, she's so beautiful. We don't allow her to come on camera.
Well, that's good, because I don't want to see the eyes. I'll be in trouble.
Yeah. Oh, she'll kill you. She'll kill you. And the coach from Connecticut, Coach Robert Conley. Robert, Coach.
Hey, Coach.
How you doing,
Uh,
Robert?
I'm getting along.
Nice.
where were you at as to where I was going, Coach? What were you saying?
What was I saying?
Yeah, we're going to forget because I was going to say something. I knew I was going to do this, right? I knew I was going to do this. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go away from the debate, and we're going to get our next topic here in these last 8 minutes before we take Mr. Conley, sir, hostage. And we will talk assassination attempt or not. Oh, I know where I was going to go. So let me go there first. To all the Trump supporters, let's take Donald Trump just out. He doesn't exist, right? Well, we're in an election year. Forget all the stuff. Biden got pushed out, all that. We just got two candidates having a debate. And in that debate, I don't care which one, red or blue, one of them says to the camera, and over in Springfield, Ohio, I thought I should tell you folks, you got some Haitians out there. They're eating cats and dogs. They're eating your pets. I know that millions of us would be looking at the TV screen like, what the hell just happened? What did this person say? So obviously we know the story. And thank you to the Republican GOP vice presidential candidate, Mr. J.D. Vance, for telling us on national television that, excuse me, Mr. Conley, sir, he told a fucking lie. Okay, so assassination attempt or not. The first one, no one's been able to prove that it wasn't an assassination attempt. It was so pretty much so clear that even I felt offended when people were saying Donald Trump set that up. Mr. Conley, I'm going to bring you in, sir, with this question to you. On this supposed assassination attempt or not, the story says that this man was in the vicinity, hanging out the golf course for approximately 12 hours. In a backpack, he had his assault rifle, which was sticking out of the fence. But the thing for me was, Donald Trump was not scheduled to be on the golf course. According to the story, it was an impromptu last-minute decision to go to the golf course. I'm not saying anything. I'm only asking a question, sir. How could this man possibly know when Donald Trump was going to be on the golf course? And by the way, he didn't get a shot off. Help me out with that.
Yeah, I just opened up my phone just a little while ago, and that information was on my phone.
Okay.
And it just so happens that the person that put this meme together or whatever it is, it was a meme with Columbo. And
Great.
Columbo was my man.
Oh, yeah. Mine too.
And so I'm with Columbo that if this was a last minute decision, no matter how long anybody's hanging out, if this is a last minute decision, how could he actually be there at the same time that you're going to go and play and he knows that you're going to be coming around the mountain? My thoughts are, and I let me tell everybody, I used to be a conspiracy theorist of the government. Okay. I don't believe the government has conspiracy theories for us and controlling us, because if they did, they would have let us all die during COVID, but they didn't let us die. Okay. And the same thing with China. China didn't let their people die. But in order for somebody to sit around that long, and here's another piece that probably nobody is saying. If he's going to go out on the course, wouldn't Secret Service check the place out before he goes out there? Because there's so many opportunities to hide out there. So I don't think that this was just somebody else out there wanting to take this guy out. and this is the first time I've talked about it, but I don't think that this was one of those situations, as I don't think the first situation was either. And the first situation, who gets hurt, and that's all, and it's over.
Not a scratch. Not a scratch.
If a mosquito bites you, you're not gonna and then say forget it. Had to be bigger than a mosquito bite.
I mean, isn't the bullet worse than a sting of a bee? And if you got stung by a bee in your ear at that moment, man. So
Not only did it bite you, but it was hot.
right. So, Coach, going with Mr. Conley here, because he said something. So this guy, somehow this impromptu last-minute decision happened to fall within this 12-hour window. That's the first thing I'm not buying. I'm sorry. So it just happened to fall. I didn't say anything. Don't put words in my mouth, people. In this 12-hour window. The other thing Mr. Conley said, the sweep. It wasn't, remember, the Secret Service agent that found him, that's being credited with finding him. It wasn't like it was hard. It was I guess a visual sweep, and oh shit, what's that? So if he saw that, how was that also missed in that 12-hour window before? I mean, how? Coach, I don't know. I'm not saying anything but your thoughts.
My thoughts are this. This is a good topic on this measure. I had this discussion last night at my bar with a group of people, and I was really surprised to hear the majority that were sitting around the table with me saying that they didn't believe that this was a true assassination attempt. And I was curious, like, exactly, what made them feel that way. And a lot of it had to do with just his whole propaganda approach, that he does things, that are fake, that are false, that are lies, that are cons for an outcome that he wants to try to navigate towards. And so it's interesting because some of these people are actually pretty smart people, and I didn't catch enough of the news topics. All I heard was that the guy was caught outside the fence. Secret Service saw the barrel of his rifle, and that's what gave him away. No shots were fired. They said that Secret Service was a couple holes ahead of Trump, so they were scouting out the holes ahead of him, and that's how they were already advanced and found them before Trump actually came on the scene. Which means that Trump wasn't probably even within sight of this supposed shooter. I think that it's more likely that this second one could be staged and could be a publicity stunt. The first one I have questions about, in the sense that somebody was reportedly shot and killed. A couple other people were actually claimed to have been wounded during the shot. There's actually a picture that I saw, and I'm going to say I didn't think it was doctored at the time, that showed a bullet with a vapor trail. Didn't show the bullet, showed the vapor trail by Trump's head. And so these things all ring to be, somewhat credible in that. The question again at the table last night was, people replicated this shot on props, and even hitting the air just a little bit, eviscerated the air. I mean, the ear was basically destroyed on these props and stuff. And he's got like a little scratch. Now, I've shot guns my whole life, and I know that if you were struck with a bullet, even in the ear, you're going to lose the ear.
I don't care
about it. It's not going to be a nick.
I don't care. I don't care if that bullet reached out like this and just went. Just a little.
Yeah. His reaction's very suspicious, especially when he's trying to stand up against the Secret Service and hold his fist up and stuff like that. And that seems almost like it was staged on that level. Like he planned a response to this attempt. But again, because somebody was killed in that first attempt, I think that lend some credibility to the fact that that was an actual active shooter.
I don't bullshit. Lori, you got a few minutes here before we get with Mr. Conley on our topic of the evening. Assassination, or not assassination, Lori?
I hadn't really formed much of an opinion, but if I'm going to go along with this conversation, I would say I kind of agree with Glenn about the first one. And the second one, yeah, leaves a lot to be discussed. It changed the news cycle, didn't it? And that was the big thing. And it gave him something to raise money on again.
Right.
And
An
you know,
hour later.
Yeah, so I could absolutely see this being a con job. It's his modus operandi.
Now, I'll end this. Mr. Conley, sir, sometimes I make confessions on this show of my past. I won't get detail for you out of respect for you, sir. But I'll say this. So the coach said, and I have guns too. Coach has guns. Unfortunately, I also have experience with bullets whizzing past me. And the temperature is really hot if it gets close enough. I'm thinking, yeah, we saw the vapor trail. Vapor trail, I would think there's some heat in that vapor trail, right? Yeah, there's some heat in that vapor trail. Whiz past his ear. Got a little hot. They treated the burn because that patch was off too fast, people. And I'm sorry. I got a little Ruger right next to me. If I whiz it past your ear, you're going to need more than a tampon on your ear. Trust me. Mr. Conley joins us this evening. He's been doing something on his show. That is Robert Live. What I love about Robert Live, number one, you don't know what you're going to get. But it doesn't matter what you're going to get because as soon as Mr. Conley comes on, it's going to be good. Even walk with Robert. It's always interesting to hear. I love Mr. Conley because you do everything. It's sports, life, health. By the way, I should mention to you folks, in baseball, I hate the New York Yankees with an absolute special passion. I will be 62 years old, and I've hated the Yankees for at least 77 years. I also have another hate. This one goes deep. Not as deep as the Yankees. Oh, but it's deep. Can't stand the Pittsburgh Steelers. You can't even begin to understand how much I can't stand those motherfuckers. And I don't say it out of respect for Mr. Them I hate them.
Well,
Hey.
So what you saying now, I got a question for you.
Yes, sir, Mr. Conley, sir.
I didn't wear any Steelers gear on, however, still black and gold. But my question to you is, and I got to play around the golf with him a couple of years ago, if you hate them so bad, how did you feel when Dick LeBeau came to your team?
That's a good question. So as much as I hate the Yankees, and as much as I hate the Steelers, I respect the game of baseball. I respect the game of football, and you can't have nothing but respect for Terry Bradshaw, Franco Harris. I can go on and on. Rocky Bleier, the Steel Curtain, Mike Tomlin, the organization that all they do is win. Part of it is jealousy. And when Dick LeBeau came, I loved it because I have an absolute respect for him. By the way, one last thing, we'll go to the topic. I love that sound. Those are Lori's kids. They sound like dogs. Pain in the asses. My daughter, my big girl, my precious, darling Keisha, happens to absolutely adore the Pittsburgh Steelers, and she absolutely is a big fan of Robert Conley. So it's about the only thing I hold against the two of them. Anyway, Mr. Conley's here for a reason. Back in 1981, Ronald Reagan about to become, by 1980, going to 1981, Ronald Reagan was about to become the President of the United States of America. One of the things we said back then was, holy shit, the actor's going to be a president. Now, let's remember that before Ronald Reagan became President of the United States, he was the governor of California. So he had some, and they said the same thing in California. Oh, the actor's going to be the governor. He was the great orator. He could speak with the best of them. Tear down that wall. The Heritage Foundation, at the same time, a large conservative think tank, had finished up a document. It was a document, their wish list. They had worked on it for quite some time. And they continue to work on that wish list. Today we call it Project 2025. Project 2025 basically, let's see, is I'm going to say it mildly before I turn it over to Mr. Conley. It's basically a rearrangement of things as we know them, drastically different. For the past, I don't know, month, 6 weeks or something like that, I noticed when Mr. Conley came on and he started doing, he's going to explain more, excerpts, episodes of Project 2025. Mr. Conley, take this over. Tell us what you did with these episodes, why you did this. What is with Project 2025? Why is it so important to you to do what you're doing?
The beginning of this has started because my close friend that lives here in Nevada, up in Reno, sent me a message that I should get in touch with the Democrats here and help them out and volunteer. And so I did. And the more that I get involved with helping, I'm an independent. I'm a veteran also. So being independent, I can see both sides of the fence. Sometimes I like both sides and sometimes I don't like either side, but I can see both sides. So the more that I've gotten into volunteering and helping the Democrats here, the more information that I've seen. And one of the things that has come up and come to my attention is the Project 2025. And I have been hearing bits and pieces, and the bits and pieces I'd been hearing was all negative for the people. Not just for the Democrats, but it appeared it was negative only for the Democrats. But as I've gotten into reading this, I'm reading it in the mornings. I'm reading it so that each person can hear exactly what is written. When I first started reading it to my viewers last week, I found that it was a Democrat's interpretation of what was written. And so I stopped reading it. And I told them, I'm getting chills right now. And I stopped reading it. And I told them, I don't want to give you information that's one-sided, although this writing is one-sided. Mm-hmm. I want you to understand the full view of what it is that's written so that you can make your own decisions. And once you hear what's written, your decision, if you make a decision to vote red with this guy, you didn't understand anything that I read. And so with me reading it, one of the first things that there is about Project 2025, they've got this thing organized really, really well.
Oh, yeah.
As Ralph has said, it's a constructive piece of literature that basically is a blueprint of the takeover of everything that we do. It's not enough for the robots and AI to come in. You know, we got to have something else.
Yep.
And this something else is Project 2025. They have it set out that they have 4 pillars that this blueprint is set up on. The first pillar. Now, when I read this in the mornings, I read exactly what's here, and then I inject what I feel I've read or what I interpret. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to read this pillar number 1, and then each of you, starting with the lady and then the coach and then Ralph, can say what you think I just read. Okay, so you can give your interpretation. So pillar 1, this volume puts in place a consensus view of how major federal agencies must be governed, and where disagreement exists, brackets out these differences for the next president to choose a path.
My interpretation of that? Oh,
Mhm.
Yes.
total control. Total control based upon this paperwork, this manuscript, handed over to the president.
Coach.
You know, for me, it goes along the lines of the ideology of having a small government. I think they want to contract what exists right now and try to get rid of a number of departments and kind of shrink it down into something that is more manageable for the president to take management of.
And mine is pretty simple without too much IQ. We don't like the way things work. We haven't liked them for a really long time, and we've been trying for a long time to change this. And this is what we want to do. That's just made it simple. That just made it clear, Mr. Conley.
Yeah. So my interpretation is a piece of everything that each of you said. That's my interpretation. When I heard the first voice come on here and say what she said, I got chills immediately. And
Lori
I've
had
been
that
getting
effect.
chills reading this.
Yeah, Lori has that effect.
Yes. Okay. Well, I got chills because that piece of information was exactly what I had been feeling and my interpretation. And then the second voice that came on said what comes up later in what I read. So that was accurate as well. And your simplicity of it, all of what I interpreted and understood just now is exactly what I feel it is. So pillar number 2, and we'll go in the same order. Pillar number 2 is a personal database that allows candidates to build their own professional profiles and our coalition members to review and voice their recommendations. These recommendations will then be collated and shared with the president-elect's team, greatly streamlining the appointment process. Coach?
Yeah, Coach, you go first on that one.
Oh boy.
It's a vetting process, right? So you're kind of already applying for a job. They want to have a good screening process so that they are ready to roll, as they say, on day one with their Project 2025 appointments and the depth of what they want to do as far as instilling new civil servants and things like that. I know I read in 2025, I read about that plan of basically getting people deeper into the government appointments so that they can have more control over the departments that they lacked in the first round when Trump was there. He didn't have the control he wanted over the departments, even though he controlled the department heads.
Okay, I'm going to say what I have to say.
Hey.
To me, it just sounded like any of you who don't agree with us, you're out the door. And we'll decide what we're going to do with you later on.
It's a simple interview process. It's a new government, and we only have 2 questions for you to qualify for this job. Forgive me, Mr. Conley, sir. Will you do everything and anything that President Trump tells you to do without question? And more than that, more than anything else, will you bend and kiss his ass anytime he wants. That's basically what it is. You're only going to pick the people that fit the project. I'm not going to build a house, and Mr. Conley, by the way, has an incredible talent in building. I'm not going to build a house with straws. I don't need straws. I need brick. They're looking for their version of bricks.
Yeah, they're not going to let anybody huff and puff and blow the house down.
No. Total control. Pillar 3.
Yeah. Pillar 3 is the Presidential Administration Academy, an online educational system taught by experts from our coalition. For the newcomer, this will explain how the government functions and how to function in government. For the experienced, we will host in-person seminars with advanced training and set the bar for what is expected of senior leadership. Again, Lori.
Indoctrination. That's key. Indoctrination. It reminds me right now of Scientology. You don't do exactly what we're saying. We're going to teach you how to do it. You like it or not, that's just the way it is.
Yeah, I'd have to echo that. Indoctrination was the first word that came to my mind. Again, it reminds me of like the Hitler Youth in the respect that there was a long-term plan to develop believers in what they were selling and not competing with trying to get rid of somebody else's beliefs and install new beliefs, but simply start with somebody that's a clean slate, if you will, and teach them what you want them to learn. So that's what they know.
They basically they shortened Pillar 3, call it training. That's all it's going to be, training.
Right.
There's no manual. There will be no manual. We are going to give you the playbook as we go along. And you're going to
tongue baby.
Wow. And pillar number 4.
The playbook. We are forming agency teams and drafting transition plans to move out upon the president's utterance of "So help me God."
Wow. Invoking God. I'll go first. Executive orders. So that's the beauty about this. The president is going to be so in charge. He's not going to need any executive orders whatsoever. The Project 2025, of course, they want a conservative president. And with Pillar 4, they basically tell the president, we have complete, and by the way, Republicans have adopted a lot of good percentage of Project 2025 already. They've been doing that. But with Pillar number 4, they tell the president, Mr. President, sir, the first 3 are completed. And with the 4th, you are now king or queen. But in this case, they don't want a woman king. Crazy.
I see Hitler. That's what I see. Hitler.
It is a sign of fascism, you know. That's why I think that he can make that comment that it would be a dictator on day one. I think he believes in this project. I think he believes that they'll be ready to roll on day one. It's currently and actively being managed. You can go online right now and apply for jobs through the Heritage Foundation in the administration and stuff, and they have a vetting process. You can join the academy right now and start taking those online courses. I think it's basically what the plan is they have it all ready to go on day one and hand it over to the president, and and it's a done deal. Yeah,
wrapped up in a little bow.
Yeah, what you're saying is exactly what is said in here, because at noon on the day that the president takes office is when they will begin. They will already have everybody in place. They will already have all of the mechanisms in place. And so as he said that I want to be a dictator on day one, exactly right, Coach. Day one is all the days that he needs to implement everything that he needs to implement to push the train in motion. And that train would be going downhill, and anybody that gets in the way, including, and it says in here, as I've been reading this, the very first thing that I remember I read about who they will control is the voices of the educators. Whether you're a preschool teacher all the way up to administrative president, if you don't agree with what they say, you're fired. You're gone. The next people's voices that they shut down are the administration voices. So if you're not in agreement with what they say, then as well, you're gone. And just as you've said, and as each one of you have noticed in these 4 pillars, and this is just the beginning. In these 4 pillars, it's telling you exactly what they want.
Oh, yeah.
But it takes this to understand. Now, as I'm reading it, there's some very good information in here. Very good information about managing the country. The problem with the good information is it's going to be controlled by the dictatorship.
That is very good, Mr. Conley. 2 things I was going to bring up. One of them is that there are certain, like government spending, for example. Everybody can agree government spending is ridiculous. Okay, it's just the stuff that it's just ridiculous. And one of the things that Project 2025 Heritage Foundation goes after is government spending. I'm also several hundred pages in myself, Mr. Conley, and there are good things, good policies, good proposals within Project 2025. Only problem is you got it in the hands of the wrong people. That Mr. Conley mentioned something here that, again, Project 2025 also calls for the elimination of the Department of Education and the elimination of the Department of Homeland Security. Why in the hell you would eliminate those? Though I don't know. Slashing regulations. It will affect immigration. You think about a man who has clearly stated, what do you call them? Deportation camps or something? Some kind of camps he's going to put up. You're going to go around the country and rounding people up. People, Project 2025 is about, I'll say that in a second. Project 25 is you're going to love this, Coach Conley. Project 2025 is about basically the complete annihilation of a world that we know.
Yes.
It is to take it to a world where a certain faction of our population is going to control everything. Goods and services, the prices of goods and services, the distribution, where it goes, the money, all of it. I was going to say, Mr. Conley, I know that the coach looks white, but he's not white. Trust me, he's not white. All right, he is. He's married to a beautiful.
Well, you know what my daughter and my son and my nephew said? They told me that I was a white man in a black man's skin. So I understand, Coach.
Well, the coach has had the privilege and the honor of marrying a beautiful Jamaican woman. So he's had to deal with a lot of this crap.
Yes.
All the years. Remember that Project 2025 will also affect families, abortion. And Mr. Conley said something at the beginning as we close out Project 2025.
I hope just for tonight. I hope just for tonight.
That was
I'd like to.
Yeah.
I'd love to have more.
Yes.
Schooling.
Yes. Oh, Mr. Conley is part of the family. I'll kidnap him anytime.
Good.
This is not. People would think. Again, I love what Mr. Conley said. Number one, he said, if you heard, and I listened, Mr. Conley, if you heard what he read, because we just went the 4 pillars. Those are the 4 titles. There's a lot of detail in each one of those pillars. That's why this document is almost 1,000 pages long because they put detail and planning into this. And it is not, as some people would think, a conservative attack against Democrat/liberals. Mr. Conley, once again, excuse my French, they don't give a fuck if you're red, blue, yellow, in the country, over there. You know what they do care about, though? If you got money, and you got power, and you got influence, you're good. If you don't, for all of you people that don't get it, you're screwed. Screwed. Let me let you in on another piece of my life. Because most of my life, I was a poor ass from the hood. I had to scrape by my whole life. My fault, because I wasn't taught how to save money, manage money, but I survived. I never worried about who the president was or the policies because they didn't affect me, because neither one of them was doing shit for me, because I lived in the street. Remember what they say, middle class, upper class, the rich. You know what I don't hear enough of? What about the freaking poor people? Huh? What about those who really, really need it? And as we get off this subject, and we can do this for any subject, it is a shame when Christians hold one man so high when the Lord made it clear to us that he is of love, that he is of help. Help feed the poor, help the hurt, all that good stuff. Doesn't make any sense. Ms. Conley, we only have one more topic left, Ms. Conley, if you would like to hang out with us.
Sure.
I was going to have to twist this on. We are going to get into the topic of abortion and its weight in this election. But I'm going to go a different route first. They know this about me, Mr. Conley. I don't know if I've ever said this to you. I'm very big on women. No, I don't mean looking at a woman's ass or her body or hitting on. No, I've always been big on a woman because it was a woman that carried me. It was a woman that gave birth to me. I came from within her womb, and she nurtured me to the man I became. A great father, great dad. But it's about the mother. Another thing about me. In 1981, my girlfriend told me she was pregnant with our child. I was 18 years old. She was 16. Her stepfather handled it himself. He took her to have an abortion. When he told me, I just wanted to lay down and die. It was. My child would be 42 years old now. But I will tell you this, and I've said this before, and I've been asked by the idiots and the brain dead on social media, "What? She murdered you. How could you deal with that?" Excuse me, Mr. Conley, sir. It's none of my fucking business. It wasn't none of my business then. It ain't none of my business now what a woman decides to do with her body. But as we go into the topic of abortion, what do we hear? We hear disgusting men talk about she should keep her. Who is this idiot that's running for governor of North Carolina? A brother.
Oh my God.
I can't even call him a brother. He's talking about maybe women should learn how to keep their legs closed. Lori, you're the lady of the house. So I need you to help me with something. Because, we're men, we don't know any better. In order to create a child, does not the man have to ejaculate into a woman first?
Absolutely.
I mean, unless you do artificial insemination, but we're not talking about artificial sex here. We're talking about actual sex. Coach, help me out with that.
It's the only way that I know.
I mean, it's the only way you had your kid. The only way you had your kids with Sandra, right?
Yeah. I don't have any other kids running around from any other method.
It's the Conley shirt. Right?
I'm with everybody. I don't know of any other ways but those two.
That's all I know. So why is the talk always about women? Why? She cannot get pregnant if he doesn't come in her. But we have never heard any legislation, any bill, any law proposal. I'm going to make one, though. Every little boy gets circumcised. Everyone. Every little boy that's born. First thing you're not going to have to worry about, I hope not, unless somebody made a mistake, is the pregnancy. Or the woman, she can open her legs all she feels like, okay? Because that's also her decision, by the way. If she wants to be a whore, that's her decision. But you don't have to worry about the babies. And then when the man proves, and the woman too, that they are responsible, or at a certain age, 21, you reverse the circumcision. And you mind your business and let them do what they're going to do. You'll never hear anything like that proposed in Washington. Never hear that. I'm going to pull my phone out. I'm going on a rant, guys. I got a picture of my daughter. The Steelers. She's so beautiful. It kills me. Things women could not do before 1970. First of all, let's try to remember that 1970 wasn't that long ago, okay? Although I was a little itty bitty 7-year-old kid in 1970. Number one, she couldn't keep her job if she was pregnant. We didn't know that as kids in 1970, but you're right, Mr. Conley, right? She couldn't keep her job if she was pregnant. That to me sounds like, I'm not going to say it yet. 2, she couldn't report cases of sexual harassment in the workplace. Wow. So could you imagine how the offices were? These guys were getting fields and everything that they wanted to. And a woman couldn't say a word in 1969. Not 1869, 1969. 3, you couldn't get a credit card. I mean, that sounds so stupid. You couldn't get a credit card.
I don't know.
Until the Equal Credit Opportunity Act in 1974. Not too long ago, people. It's 50 years ago. Here's the good one. And I don't mean it that way. I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that. Here's the absolute horrible one. She couldn't refuse to have sex with her husband. Now, I don't need any more. I'm going to go to 2 stories real quick. And then I'll finish my rant and you guys can go. A Georgia woman died after the state's strict anti-abortion laws caused a 20-hour delay in her treatment. In August of 2022, Amber Nicole Thurman, 28, drove to a North Carolina clinic to have an abortion. She couldn't get one in her home state of Georgia because of the 6-week ban. The clinic gave her pregnancy-ending pills, mifepristone, and misoprostol, which she took back home. A few days later, she had a rare complication where she didn't expel all the fetal tissue. Long story short, she died. She went to the emergency room to get care. And because of the doctor's fears of a 10-year sentence, they made her wait 20 hours. Basically, they let her sit there and die. And doctors didn't really have a choice. Again, it's against the law. Candy Miller's health was so fragile, doctors warned having another baby could kill her. But when the mother of three realized she had unintentionally gotten pregnant in the fall of 2022, Georgia's new abortion ban gave her no choice. At 41, Miller had lupus, diabetes, and hypertension, and she didn't want to wait until the situation became dire. So she avoided her doctors, and she navigated an abortion on her own. A path, of course, that many health experts will tell women is not the path to take. She ordered online abortion pills, but once again, like the previous story I just read, she did not expel all the fetal tissue, causing sepsis and dying. So here's my take. This world is so lucky to have women. Us men who appreciate and respect women, we are very lucky to have women. I know I speak for the coach when I can tell you I've known him long enough to know he got a hell of a wife. A hell of a wife. And as much as I joke, I know my friend Glenn ain't stupid. He ain't never gonna screw things up with Sandra. Plus, she would kick his ass anyway, so it wouldn't make a difference. Me, God gave me a chance, another chance at love. In a laundromat 31 and a half years ago. And I swore I would love that woman to my death. She's my queen, she's the boss, and I do as I'm told. I don't have any problem with that. But here we are in a world where that is seen as weak, demeaning, because it is about the control of a woman. And I've always asked for many decades, Mr. Conley, as our special guest here, here's the question to you after my rant and everything I told you. I've never been able to answer or get the answer or a good enough answer. We understand how the world started. We understand that everything was men controlling the world and women being subservient. But as time has passed and as we progressed as human beings, the obsession of man to continue to want to control a woman. And your thoughts on everything I just said?
I too have asked the question of why can't it be the man's responsibility instead of just the woman? It's been on the woman the entire time, and that's not fair for it to be on the woman, since it does take two people all the time, unless it's artificial insemination, and still it's taken a second person. So yeah, I don't feel right about that. I've never felt right about it, and I also don't feel right that it is a mechanism of control, and as it is a mechanism of control, as you said, you can't say what a woman does with her body, and I agree with that 100%. There's an issue here that most of these people that are wanting President Trump to be, I should say ex-President Trump to become president again, there's an issue here that they don't understand. There's a lot of issues that they don't understand. But on this topic, they don't understand that they call themselves Christians. And in Christianity, there's only one judge. And because there's only one judge, you don't have the right to tell anybody else what to do with their body. And if there's only one judge, and you will be judged when you get to those pearly gates, it's up to that person to be judged, and not for you to put a rule on them, which is a controlling, judging situation. I don't appreciate it at all. To me, in the modern day, now I've said before, if I was raised a communist and that's what I knew, I would be okay with it.
Because it's all you
Okay.
know.
That's it. But I wasn't. I was raised here supposedly in the land of the free and the home of the brave. Well, we know that they took the land from the braves. And now they're trying to control the lady 100%. I don't agree with anything that has to do with taking the rights away from anybody to do what I may not like what they do, but they may not like what I do. I can't do anything about it. I just have to keep on marching.
That's right. And great points, Mr. Conley, hey, Coach. I think of what you said, right? I was laughing because I was remembering what you typed up in our group about Sandra, right? So,
Yeah.
so Mr. Conley, the coach's wife, as sweet as she is, not exactly all sweet and sugar.
Yeah.
She got a lot of attitude. She got a lot of bark, and then she got a lot of bite. And I think, Coach, and Lori, Lori, I love you so much. When you look at these women, Coach, you look at your wife. I mean, she wouldn't let it happen. But you think about everything that I said there. It is so important to them, not just to control, but to spread the message. And by the way, one of the things we got to talk about one day is Republicans, they're good at spreading a message, okay? You got to give them that. Or, excuse me, their base is stupid enough to buy the messages, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But, Coach, man, it's all about control, Coach. We know this is all about control.
You know, and I think that's one of the things that's the theme of we're not going back, right? Isn't that Kamala's thing?
Mhm.
We're not going back. My wife has been saying it for 8 years now about Donald Trump wants to bring us back to the 50s. The whole idea of, again, you cited a number of things pre-1974, what restrictions were on women. Even the woman needed permission from her husband to have a job. I mean, these were things that were sought out and you had to have permission for it. I don't understand it. I don't understand the need to attack something like this when you talk about religion, okay? And I think that Robert said it just right, is that it's not for us to judge our neighbor, our friend, our family. It's not for us to judge. And in a nation that is a free nation, we're also free from religious persecutions by people that hold religious beliefs that are different than our own. So you have millions of people in America that are not Christians, that don't hold the same religious values that these ultra conservative Christian movements hold and want to step on your neck with. And I think that's the biggest problem that we have, is that they're trying to force these religious ideologies onto people that don't share them. And we're supposed to have those freedoms in this country to be free from religious practices that we don't agree with. And I think that's the biggest pill for them to swallow, is that not everybody's a Christian, and therefore we don't hold ourselves to the same standards that they hold us to. They don't hold themselves to those standards, and there's the hypocrisy in it.
Right.
They're willing
to hold you to the standard.
Yeah, right. They want you to live to their standards. They don't want to live to their own standards, and therein lies the problem there. Sandra is one of those people that she speaks her mind very clearly, sometimes in patois. Depends on how angry she is. But she does it when there's no one in the room. She'll have arguments with the television, and she just gets really fired up, and she just says it the way that she sees it. And, sadly, sometimes she comes to my den and shares her thoughts with me, and I feel like I'm being assaulted because I'm like doing something entirely different, like game film or whatever. And she storms in and, she has to bring me up to date to the thing that just pissed her off, But one of the things that is we're talking about the election and the weight of this on the election. I think it's one of the driving forces right now for women. I don't think they need too many motivations to vote against Trump and for Kamala. But I think that the overturning of Roe has given them a unifying message that they don't count. And they certainly don't count in the Republican standing. So in order for them to matter, I think that they understand now that they have to align themselves with the Democratic Party for this election and keep Donald Trump and Project 2025 from happening.
Lori, I'm going to go to you before I go to you, because I'm going to set it up like this. One of the things that I did in my past life, I won't tell Mr. Conley what that was. I never will. One of the things I did in my past life, one of the details that I enjoyed was torturing someone, watching the will be taken away from them, watching the fear of God in their eyes as I talk to them calmly. I don't know, I'm gonna break 2 of your fingers. You know, you just looking at this person like, oh crap, man, like, oh God, what am I gonna do? That's control. That's control. You're looking at this person, no matter what you tell them, no matter what you're there for. The goal is simple. I'm going to look at you and say things to you, and I'm going to make you feel in a way that makes you very uncomfortable. In this case, fear. So, Lori, I go to you with this, because obviously, as the 3 men here, there's no way we'll ever know this. Here's something else I've always wondered. How a woman must feel in a world where she already knows where women have been, what they had to fight through to get to where they got. And that's before any of these guys gave a damn about them. And then the uphill climb in the 70s, only to know that you live in a world where men see you as a possession, as something that they have a right to control. And as a man, I've tried, but you can't. Lori, I ask you, God, how that must feel, knowing, once again, Mr. Conley, excuse me, knowing that you live in this place with a bunch of fucking dicks that just want to tell you what to do and want to put you in your place. How that's got to feel to a woman.
Enraging. Yeah, it's enraging. And I've had my fair share of dealing with the mentality of men, especially once they get in their little freaking groups, like at a fraternity, who think they got the balls then. That's when they got the balls. So let's take control away from women right now with the abortion issue. Let's take control of women a little bit more and go back to the 70s. And it pisses me the fuck off. Excuse my language, but that's exactly how I feel. And I'm sick and tired of it. There isn't a woman on this earth, unless she's got to look really, really bad, who has not faced some sort of sexual harassment her entire life. You take a walk down the street, you walk by a bunch of construction guys. They're all going to gang up on you with their eyes and their whistles and their words. Mm-hmm. And this pisses me off. And you know what? We are the stronger sex. I'm sorry, but we are. And as far as religion, because I had something to say about that one too.
Come on.
Back in the 70s, when they were passing the Roe versus Wade, the Christian right didn't exist. Yes, the Catholics were always against abortion. But you had people like Falwell and his predecessors who came in and said, you know what? Let's get them all fired up about this abortion stuff. Let's get them fired up. So it's another form of control, because as far as I'm concerned, that's exactly what religion is. It's a mind control. It's a mind fuck. Okay? As much as I believe in God, I have no use for religion. And with what's been done specifically during this entire time with getting Roe versus Wade and all these conservatives, oh, they're anti-abortion and we got to save the lives. Well, what about saving women's lives? What about say her name? Her name is Amber.
Yeah.
Her name is Amber. She is fucking dead now because of you and your fucking principles that are bullshit. And I'm sorry. Yeah, you got me riled, Ralph. I think that's exactly what you wanted me to be. And I am. And you know what else? You got people like Brian Kemp, who's the governor of Georgia, who says, "Oh, this is bullshit that they're gonna show us that women are suffering and dying because of show us the numbers." Well, guess what? That was 2022, and these little groups that they put together to study have not come up with the numbers of how many women have actually died. We know of 2. We know of 2. That's it. But you know what? The number's going to be a lot larger. And as it is, the United States and maternity mortality for women is way above most other organized and what's the word? So riled. The countries that are advanced. The advanced countries. Well, guess what? America, you suck.
Laurie, you got Tammy Eames all fired up over here, girl. You got Tammy on a rope. Robert, did you bring Tammy in the house?
I didn't bring her in, but I told my people that I didn't read this morning, and so if they want to see what's going on, they can come here tonight.
They've been coming, Mr. Conley. Because Tammy, hello, Tammy. You are woman. You are everything. You are all that and more. And don't ever let a man or anyone else tell you otherwise. By the way, Mr. Conley, that rant from Lori was brought to you by I have no clue. But damn that, hey, she doesn't do that. She doesn't do that. Lori, thank you. That's what I was looking for. You hear it from a woman. Hear it from a woman's point of view. Hello. Thank you for the invite, Tammy. We're going to be on Wednesdays. We're going to have Mr. Conley back too. We got some more guests coming. We just want to get it out. I want to make something very clear before we go to final thoughts here. One thing I didn't say in the beginning of the show. So we've invited Republicans, conservatives here. The first thing they say is, no, y'all going to go ahead and attack me. We understand why they say that. So let me make this clear. On attack on the Politicos, we don't give a damn who's president. And we got news for you. If you think that we get pissed at Donald Trump, you think we didn't get pissed at Joe Biden when he screwed up? Oh, yeah. Just play it on this show. Matter of fact, you can play Mr. Conley sometimes too, because I've heard Mr. Conley talk about President Biden as well. And it wasn't nice all the time either. You know what that is? That's an open mind. That's knowing that Republicans are liars, Democrats are liars, independents are liars, that humans are liars. It's just one guy is better at it than all of us. That's all. He's better than all of us. Ms. Conley, I will go to you with the segment that we end the show with all the time. Ms. Conley, your final thoughts tonight.
My final thoughts about the topics that we've been on. There's 2 topics. My final thoughts of those 2 topics are that one, on the abortion issue, I am all for what the women want, as the women have worked with me, as they've talked with me, as I've seen them and communicated with me, and everything that I know throughout my life. This is why we need a female president, because they have always, I'll say mostly, made the best decisions.
Yeah.
And they've done the best jobs. And so I trust what they say more so than I trust the men, because they think about it and they'll stick to it because it comes from the heart and not from the pocket. I love that about what women do. And they do it no matter what the situation.
No matter what.
The topic of Project 2025 is that, and I've spoke with a couple other people about this before, It's the same to me as the New World Order. The New World Order is okay. Project 2025 is okay. It's for the people. It's who's controlling it that makes it bad.
Mhm. That's basically
And with Project 2025, I told you I'm independent. I put all these memes on, I put these jokes on and everything. The thing that people don't understand is that those that are drinking the Kool-Aid, they drank it with David Koresh and Jim Jones, and they didn't know they were drinking it either. They had no idea.
excellent point to close a final thought. I might have to touch on that one. Lori, final thoughts.
My final thoughts are, first of all, I want to thank you, Robert, for coming on.
Thank you.
I thoroughly enjoyed what you had to say about Project 2025. I'd like to see you come back.
He will.
Maybe delve into some more of the topics. And as for me, I'm a little enraged right now. I have to bring my blood pressure down.
I can tell. We can tell.
Well, I know, and Ralph, I kind of knew that's what you wanted from me tonight. So I provided, but I do not feel comfortable being like that normally. And it just goes to show, for me, the number one issue is abortion. And I would hope that other women will see it. Unfortunately, I still think, like you said, they're drinking the Kool-Aid. I can't get through to certain people. Breaks my heart. They don't know what they're doing. Forgive them, God, for they do not know what they do.
This is one time I can tell Lori, you are so hot. And it doesn't, and I don't even mean it the way it sounds. She's hot, all right. She's hot under that damn collar right now. Woo! Coach, final thoughts.
You know, the thing that comes to mind throughout this discussion, for me, is the Catholic Church, and the original Catholic Church, not the current Catholic Church, but the original Catholic Church with the Inquisition and the persecution of people that were non-believers, the forcing of Christianity on people to follow their rules and their interpretations and their values. And if you didn't, you were punished for it. And sometimes you were punished by being killed. The Project 25 Heritage Foundation is an ultra-conservative Christian movement that really is modeling, I think, that original church approach where they want you to follow whatever they say without question, that they're right and it's the only way to be. And if they can punish you for not following along, they will. There's a lot I hear you guys say that there's it's good for America in some respects. And there may be some good things in there. I have read some of it as well. But there's some very dangerous things, especially when you're talking about deregulation. Some of the things that they want to deregulate, some of the administrative departments they want to constrict into other departments and stuff. It's about money. It's not about the betterment of America. It's not about even the savings of what it costs Americans in creating a smaller government where we spend less. It's about how to funnel that money more accurately into the pockets of people. And one simple example is the Department of Environmental Protection. They want to do away with that and do away with the regulations so that they can drill and do more oil digging and things like that. For the sake of raising more money for the fossil fuel industry. It has nothing to do with protecting our interest in the oil business or anything like that. It's about a way for them to make more money. And the end result of that with the deregulation is that it exposes our waterways, our rivers, and especially in certain circumstances, the riverhead, which branches all across America from one riverhead. It can branch into many different rivers and allowing pollutants to go ahead and start being dumped into these rivers. So there's things in there that are, and it's nuances and subtleties that you have to be very careful with the wording in there and really understand what's being said. I mean, sometimes I have to really go to my dictionary and check that word, almost like I do when I've read the Bible. I check that word to find out exactly what is the point there, because you can make an assumption and it could be right or it could be wrong. But if you're not sure, then you should really check the definition of what you're reading, because it is enlightening to find out how much they're trying to do to change things from where they are now. And deregulation is the scariest part of it.
Yeah.
Can I add something? Can I add something?
Yeah.
I
Tammy,
was pretty much jumping up and down, Glenn, when you were saying this about Catholicism and how Christianity in the very, very beginning, that's exactly what this feels like to me.
Right.
And I think that's partially why I have no use for religion at this point in my life.
very good point. Very good point. And by the way, just for clarity's sake, from all I've read so far, most of it is horrific. It just, and I know what Mr. Conley's read so far is bad. It's just there are some pieces in it that make sense and that would be good. Just again, it doesn't make a difference because the wrong people have it in hand. Tammy says they had their foot in the door with Reagan. Yes, Tammy, when we started the talk about Project 2025, of course, I was mentioning that that is when Reagan won the presidency. The Heritage Foundation already had this document, was finalizing this document back then. We'll call it Project 1981.
They actually presented it to Jimmy Carter.
Yes.
Trying to get him to go along with it.
Thank you. I forgot about that part. Yeah, Jimmy Carter basically said, go with God. Yeah. My final thoughts. Oh, Tammy, sorry you were late to the show. Tammy, we're sorry that you were late to the show. 7 p.m. Eastern next Wednesday. We would love to have you watching. And if you'd like, Tammy, we wouldn't mind having you on. Okay, so here's my final thoughts. I like the way Mr. Conley went to, because I use it a lot with the brain dead. David Koresh, Jim Jones. Back when that happened with Jim Jones, just kept running through my head. Like, so what is it that you say or do to make 900 plus people drink Kool-Aid and die? What? I didn't know any better. It's a cult. What made all those people fight with David Koresh and wake up? It's a cult. In a cult, the cult members worship the cult leader. Basically, if I'm wrong, somebody correct me. That's what a cult is. The cult has a leader, and everybody else is a subject. And everybody else is beneath that leader, way beneath that leader. And one of the things that is essential, or was essential to David Koresh, to Jim Jones, was that they believed. It doesn't matter if it's true or not. It didn't matter if it was right or wrong. So long as they believed and then conformed. We live in a world today, mind you, we got biblical a little bit. One of the things I've learned through the Bible and through life and through science and other shit is that we're humans. One of the most famous lines on the planet is, I don't care which language you say it, to err is human. We make mistakes. We do wrong. We do right. We do good. We do bad. We tell the truth. We lie. It's just being a human. I'm not talking about crazy, liars. Just being a human being. It's a challenge to get all those things right. And I would love to meet someone to look me in the face to tell me I've never lied in my life. So I can look at them and say, you're a fucking liar. With that said, imagine tens of millions of people bowing down to one man, whose name is not God or Christ, or Cain or Abel, for that matter, or Mary. Adam, Eve, he's none of those. Not only do they go to the lengths of worshiping this man, unlike any other one, I would say, since Jesus Christ, they believe everything he says. But more importantly, what really, and that's okay because again, David Koresh, Jim Jones, and we can go through Adolf Hitler. We can do 3 hours of all the men that have controlled the minds of billions. Here's the real kicker with Donald Trump. I'm speaking as if I'm now one of the brain dead. He doesn't lie. He's never wrong. He doesn't make any mistakes. It's everybody else's fault. They did it. She did it. He did it. The deep state, the Department of Justice, the FBI, the current president and vice president. Everybody else is wrong. All the courts that threw out the election bullshit, fraud and bullshit, they were wrong. Everybody was wrong except Donald Trump. The fact that you could get up in the morning and actually believe that is very disturbing. Very disturbing. But that's why psychiatrists, psychologists, and people like that make a lot of money. This is Attack on the Politicos. It is the NGSC Sports weekly political show. First and foremost, please remember the website. It is NGSCsports.com, where you catch all of your current content. Please log on to the website. Please, please, please. Log on to the website and read. Sammy can't help himself. He gets long-winded on the keyboard. I want to echo the words of Lori by thanking you, Mr. Conley, sir, for being here this evening. It was absolutely fantastic. So much so that as the head man at NGSC Sports, I don't really give orders. Do I, Mr. Conley? No.
No. You've always let me say what I want to say.
I order you to come back on my show, Mr. Conley.
I enjoyed coming on here, and actually it was a little break for me because I didn't have to talk the entire time.
That's what I like about my baseball show. See, that's what I like about my baseball show. Once John and Alejandro get going, Louis and I just sit there and watch those guys and listen. They just go at it. They make us look real good. Thank you for joining us this evening, folks. This is Attack on the Politicos. I mean, yeah, it is. It is Attack on the Politicos. Tomorrow night, I'll be back with the guys on In the Batter's Box for the NGSC Sports weekly baseball show. Until then, as I always tell y'all, peace.